Hey guys, Greenbird here. I hope everyone is doing awesome. It's been a little bit since I've posted, and I can tell you a little bit about that, but there's a lot of different reasons. But I wanted to, first and foremost, start this video by thanking each and every one of you. I was shocked. Several of you actually reached out to me during this period of time. I mean, I think it's been probably 2 weeks, maybe 3. I don't know. I haven't checked my YouTube in a while, but several of you reached out to me via personal email and things like that just to check on me and make sure everything was okay, make sure nothing had happened to me, and just kind of let me know that you were there for support if I needed it. And others of you that didn't reach out to me, a lot of you I talked to on Facebook and stuff like that, so I wouldn't expect you to, but honestly I wouldn't expect anybody anyway over a matter of a couple weeks. So that just goes to show how awesome you are. I might not have a ton of subscribers, but I have the best. So there we are. I apologize. You'll see me looking down because I made a couple of notes here just to keep myself on track. I really don't want to edit this video. I'd like to just do it once. I've already had to restart it 3 times, so that ship has sailed, but this is going to be the final one no matter what. So part of the reason that I've been MIA, and this is just a small part of it, is that I've been in the job search. I'm looking to get back to a W-2 employment situation, and I have achieved that. I started an excellent job, excellent pay, excellent benefits. Exactly what I'm looking for a second career, and I start that on Monday, the 15th. Hopefully, this video will get posted before that. But first, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my background because people have asked. So I've spent the better part of my adult life, probably at least, I'd say about 25 years of my adult work life. Obviously I'm older than that, behind a computer. So I've done everything from sales to sales training to recruiting. Recruiting is a bulk of my history, and if you're not familiar, most everybody's probably familiar with a recruiter, temporary agencies and contingency recruiters and things like that. I specialize in staffing for accounting and finance, administrative, clerical support, HR, little itty-bitty bit of IT and engineering, just barely enough to make myself sound stupid on a phone call, but I did a little bit of it. And had a blast. I made great money, met great people, got to see the inside of some of the most amazing companies like Linton Sprung Chocolate, some other big companies, and companies that most people would never get to see the inside of unless you worked there. And it was just learned so much about the inner workings of a lot of companies that you wouldn't expect to be the way they are, just by the superficial appearance that you get on their websites and on their buildings and stuff like that, and vice versa. So it was great. And in 2015 my company got bought out. Not my company, but the company I worked for got bought out by another company. And I kind of had a feeling it was going to happen, but eventually I got riffed, and it stands for reduction in force if you weren't sure. And it was a different environment than what I was used to. It became a different environment than what I was used to. It was probably for the better, but it happened for the wrong reasons, and I don't want to get into that because it would spiral the video in a negative way, and I just don't care. I don't care about that reasoning or that time period anymore. So in 2015, I had a year non-compete before I could go back into any type of work that was like that. I was a little bit burnt out anyway, so I took that year and ran out my non-compete, and then decided after that non-compete, or actually kind of in the very beginning of that non-compete, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to open up a staffing business. I'm going to cut out the middleman as far as finances are concerned. Why should the money go in somebody else's pocket when it could go into mine? And I learned a lot of important lessons during that time period. So I spent probably the first year-ish calling all my clients and calling all my candidates, and was a little bit caught off guard that I wasn't getting a lot of calls back. And I guess this is just one little negative part that it pertains to the story, so I'll add it in there. And eventually I found out why, because I bumped into a candidate of mine, and I asked her, I'm like, oh, how have you been? I haven't heard from you, because I had been leaving her messages. And she says, every time I call the office, they tell me you're not there. I said, I am the office, it's just me. And I had to explain to her that I wasn't there anymore, and that I had my new business going. So I think a lot of my clients maybe weren't realizing that they were getting the same treatment, so they weren't calling me back on my number, probably because they just had it drilled into their head where I was working and how to get a hold of me. Anyway, that's just a suspicion. I don't know. I can't verify that other than through that one candidate. But anyway, so I started to pick up, I did a bunch of cold calling and started to pick up some new clients. Was having a blast, made some money, started, turned a profit for the first time. A good profit, actually, because I had a very little invested into the company. I think I started the company with about $1,000, and that includes my database system, the filing for the LLC, my computer, the printer, all things like business cards, letterhead, printer paper, ink, all that stuff. Probably some stuff I'm forgetting. So it wasn't really difficult for me to be profitable in that regards, but when I say profitable, I mean as far as like a real income, like covering what I wanted to cover for myself as a salary. And okay, so I digress. Where am I going with this? Okay, so then shortly after that, COVID hit, and between COVID and a change in the way that my database worked, my jobs used to get spidered out to Indeed and different places automatically through my database software that I was using. So that stopped. Indeed stopped working with them. Monster was a pay-for option. Indeed became a pay-for option. And at the time, I just didn't really have the money to do that. So I had to seek out alternative job boards and recruiting efforts, which also required a lot more cold calling and trickling a little bit of money in here and there. And then I had this epiphany, and it dawned on me that I don't like doing this. And I went through several stages of it. At first, I was like, you know what? I'm burnt out. I don't enjoy this. I need to do something different. And then I went through the next stage of realization and realized, I've never liked this. Never liked it. Didn't like it to begin with. I liked the money, and at some point, I liked the people. And we're so conditioned in our heads to work even if we don't like it, that oftentimes it's hard for us to realize that, especially when we're in the square walls of corporate America, a corporate environment, where it's easy to justify and tell yourself, well, you know what, you're not supposed to like this. You're supposed to it's supposed to be work. It's supposed to be unenjoyable, and that's the biggest lesson that I learned. And this part's going to be the longest part of the video. There's a difference between not enjoying the work and not enjoying the position. There's a huge difference. You're not always going to enjoy the work that you do, but you should enjoy your end goal and what you're doing. And I lost enjoyment in all of that, in both of those. So my business started to suffer because of it, and finally I just closed up shop. I said, I'm not doing this, and kind of went into a funk for a couple of years. My wife had picked up full-time work. She was the breadwinner, still is really. And I had been picking up some side work here and there and doing stuff. And then I had my next epiphany. As you can see, I'm a slow learner. It took me like 7 years, right? Then I realized, you know what? I started applying for these jobs, like other jobs being stuck behind office, things like insurance and customer service, and and I look at those jobs, and they're all either sales jobs, or they're really low pay, or they're so quota driven that they're like, it's not a reliable income, and it wouldn't be enough income for my wife to stop working anyway. She would still need the work. And then I had my grand epiphany. Every single one of my friends said, "You are crazy. You are nuts." And let me back up a little bit. So when I got into sales, a lot of it was because I needed something to get me through college, but part of it was because I was so conditioned and sort of brainwashed, in my opinion, to have the mindset of don't get stuck being one of these jugheads that has to paint for a living, or a carpenter, or a plumber, or a contractor, or, and before you judge me, or all these people who now worked their way up in those jobs are making a ton of money, tons of money. What a terrible way to think of things, and what a terrible way to view people like that. That bird's going crazy in the background. So anyway, back to my epiphany. So I decided I don't want to do this. I don't even want to be in this world anymore. I want to do something complete opposite. So I started looking at manufacturing positions. I know, Greenbird, you're crazy. What are you doing wanting to work in a factory? That's the worst work ever. Well, not every factory is terrible work, and work is so hard to find right now that a lot of them are paying really well. And I'm lucky enough to get in, that I got into one who has a lot of major contracts in the aerospace industry. And I think that's about as far as I want to go with that. And so, big company. So, I mean, great benefits, great pay, you know, great job stability. You know, one of the most important, I shouldn't say most important, but one of the most attractive characteristics or traits of this company is that they don't really let people go. You know, generally. I'm going to say generally because there's always people that don't fit. In fact, I was told that by the line manager, this isn't an HR or a recruiter or anything, this was an actual manager, that he's really disappointed when people quit, when people just quit and don't come back, because they have so many other parts of the company that if you're not happy, they'd like to reposition you into another place. So that kind of sealed the deal for me, that because I can learn anything. I can teach anything. That's just, I guess that's the gift I was given in life. So I said, yeah, let's do it. So I went through, probably a month of hoops, background checks, drug screens, vision tests. What else did I go through? I already said couple different background checks, references, education verifications, employment verifications from the last place that I worked. I mean, you name it, I did it. And now with the way COVID is, if you haven't looked for a job in a while, wow, is it different. You do all this stuff yourself. You don't go and sit in a seat and they give you a note and say, hey, go pee in a cup and here, fill this background, check it out. Like, they send you links and you got to click on them and fill your stuff out. You got to call and make your appointments. So it was kind of a process, but I suppose if you want a job bad enough, you'll do it. So that's where I'm at. And all my friends said, Josh, you're crazy to do this. And to them I say, you're crazy not to. Some people, it's a Ferrari. Some people start dating their secretary. For me, my midlife transition is a new career. And this is a career, this is a place I can stay with for the rest of my life. So, why am I telling you all this? Because, for one, a lot of you have asked, and a lot of you have, assumed that I'm sort of retired, which I guess you could say that temporarily I kind of was. I mean, I always had side hustles and things like that. But now it's time for me to return to the breadwinning role, allow my wife, my wonderful, beautiful wife, who has sacrificed so much to try and help me make this work, my business that I'm talking about, that, she deserves some time off. She deserves to, I mean, if she wants to keep working, we've talked about it, she might, but as far as I'm concerned, she'll never have to go back to work again. So why am I telling you this? Let's get back to that. So I'm telling you this because a lot of you have asked, and a lot of you, I think, were curious and maybe didn't want to ask. And also, how is this going to affect my YouTube channel? So this is going to affect my YouTube channel in a couple of different ways. And first of all, let me tell you, they're going to be, all of them are positive. Every single one of them. So too much time away from a routine starts to bleed into the rest of your life, right? It takes longer to do things. It takes longer to motivate to do things. It takes longer to actually decide what it is you're going to want to do. Time just starts to go and dissipate because you're not used to being in that routine. So this is going to be great for the YouTube channel. It's going to be great for me personally. I'm going to get a lot more, I think I'm going to get a lot healthier, a lot more done. This is going to mean that I'm going to be on a routine for the channel. I don't know exactly what that routine will be, because for the first, I'm going to be working a traditional shift probably till October, and then I'm going into a 3 12-hour day shift, sort of a weekend shift. So I'm not sure, I haven't decided what day it's going to be, but I'm going to have a day that I'm going to commit to uploading a video, and they're going to be much more quality videos, I guess, because they're going to be more planned. They're going to be more more narrow in scope, instead of just kind of videotaping my day. There was one other thing I was going to say. Lost my train of thought. Should have made better notes. Let's see, routine, quality. Don't know what day it's going to be. I don't know. I'm certainly going to have a lot more money to maybe take you on an adventure. We have a lot of great, beautiful places here in Maine, in New Hampshire, really, that are just so camera friendly. You'd love it. Okay, well, okay, I remembered the last thing. So, one thing in the process of, you know, this summer, and not this summer, but like these past couple of years of napping and things like that, I've really done a lot of damage to my wrist. And some days I can really feel it worse than others. So you're not going to see probably much more, or maybe even any more, slab napping. And you might not see a lot more of percussion. You might just see a lot of indirect, which is probably going to be boring because I'm not really that good at it, but I'm getting better. And you might not see a lot of napping videos at all. This channel might evolve a little bit. So if you came here strictly for the napping, you know, give me a chance, give me a month or two to see if you still like the channel and if I do enough napping for you. Hopefully a lot of you are here for more than that. So anyway, right directly after this video, I'm going to do another video. You're going to see me in the same clothes. It's going to be 10 minutes later because I'm going to explain. People are probably expecting the part 2 to the part 1 slab video that I just did, so I'm going to explain why that's not going to be posted. I'm not going to finish that. I am going to keep my slabs for now, just because I feel like if I get rid of them, I'm going to wish I hadn't, or I'm going to want them or something. But if I decide that I'm just done with slab napping forever, I'll post a video on that as well, and I don't know, maybe I'll do a giveaway, or maybe I'll do a couple giveaways, or I don't know, we'll see. Because I got some cool slabs. Got some Burns Green, got some Mexican Gold Sheen, tons and tons of rainbow, rainbow obsidian that is, and maybe some coral. I'd have to look and check. But all right, guys, thanks for your support. Thanks for bearing with me, and thanks for caring about me enough to check on me while I was only away for a few weeks. So you guys are awesome. Take care.